bit more black than they show in the movies.
So was Jesus. History's a whitewash.
Welcome to WatchMojo UK, and today we're counting down our picks for the moments when our favourite time travel show got its history completely wrong. We'll be discussing episodes from every era of the show, so this is your spoiler warning.
So talent is perverting the course of human history!
Before we begin, we publish new content every day, so be sure to subscribe to our channel and ring the bell to get notified about our latest videos.
Number 10. Cleopatra Confusion. The Pandorica opens. The Series 5 finale kicks off with a trip to the year 102 AD.
Earth, Britain, 102 AM. No, PM. No. AD.
Having been summoned by River Song, the Doctor soon finds that she's pretending to be Cleopatra in order to fool an entire Roman legion. When the legion's commander returns, he sees through the ruse instantly, since, as he states, Cleopatra is dead. The famous Cleopatra died in 30 BC, so the commander's statement is correct.
We've been playing host to Cleopatra, who's in Egypt and dead.
It does, however, seem unlikely that no one in the Legion would know that Cleopatra has been dead for over 100 years, no matter how much hallucinogenic lipstick is involved. Luckily, in this case, the inaccuracy is quite easy to justify. After all, the Roman soldiers are just Nestine duplicates, based on a book from Amy Pond's bedroom.
A place more deadly and more powerful and more impatient than their tiny minds can imagine.
Number 9. Not such a forgotten hero, Nikola Tesla's Night of Terror. This Series 12 historical romp focuses on the inventor Nikola Tesla, framing him as a forgotten hero who history has left behind.
Tesla keeps on inventing, but no money, no fame. He dies penniless.
While it may be true that Thomas Edison is the more famous inventor of the era and was more appreciated at the time, it's not entirely accurate to claim Tesla's impact had been forgotten.
That's not right. People should know.
The scientific unit of magnetic flux density is named the Tesla, after all, as is a certain billionaire's automotive company. Something else the episode neglects to mention is that Nikola Tesla was a eugenist. It seems unlikely the Doctor would be quite as much of a fangirl for him if this piece of history came up.
He should have been the first billionaire by now if he hadn't torn up his contract.
Number 8. The worst archaeologist in history, Pyramids of Mars. Pyramids of Mars is quite the beloved classic story, so much so that its villain made a return after almost 50 years in the 15th Doctor's first series. However, it's not so great when it comes to historical accuracy. At the very beginning of the first episode, we meet Professor Scarman as he excavates a pyramid. Scarman states that the tomb dates back to the first dynasty of the pharaohs.
Great heaven, this tomb must date back to the first dynasty of the pharaohs.
Any competent Egyptologist will be able to tell you that the first dynasty spanned from 3100 BC to 2900 BC. However, the first pyramid didn't come about until the third dynasty, over 200 years later.
How many thousands of years since the priests sealed the inner chamber?
Not only that, but Tutankhamun's throne is also seen in the tomb, despite not being discovered until over 10 years after the setting of this story. Number 8. New York Nonsense, Daleks in Manhattan, and Evolution of the Daleks. It seems the presence of the Daleks did more damage than the Doctor realised when they arrived in 1930s New York.
Wonder what year it is. Because look, the Empire State Building's not even finished yet.
The geography of the city is all over the place, with the shots of the Empire State Building from Hooverville and Liberty Island implying that everything is much closer together than it really is. Hooverville itself doesn't line up with real history either.
There are places like this all over America.
While there certainly was a homeless community in Central Park in 1930, it wasn't yet the size portrayed in the episode for another few months. Even the Statue of Liberty has an inaccuracy. The iconic flame wasn't the gold version shown in the episode until 1986. In 1930, the flame was made of many windows of tinted glass.
Is that? Oh my god, that's the Statue of Liberty.
Number 6. Where are those eels from? The Girl Who Died. A classic horror that often crops up when Vikings are portrayed in the media is the image of them with horns on their helmets. Anyone who's ever watched horrible histories will be able to tell you that this isn't accurate, but it seems even Doctor Who is capable of making that mistake.
Not Vikings. I'm not in the mood for Vikings.
That's not the only problem with 2015's The Girl Who Died, however. In order to save a Viking village from the war-hungry Maya, the Doctor uses electricity. What's the source? Electric eels, of course.
I give you fire in the water! Electric eels!
Except electric eels are only found in South America. It seems unlikely that a small Viking village would be in possession of these slippery creatures, even after their voyages.
No!
Number 5. Big Ben Blitz, The Empty Child, and The Doctor Dances. This two-parter is one of the standout stories of Series 1. Unfortunately, the visuals of London in the height of the Blitz have a pretty major flaw. Blackouts were common practice during World War II. Windows and doors were covered and streetlights were turned off to make it far more difficult for enemy planes to find their targets. In fact, blackout regulations in Britain were introduced on September 1st, 1939. That's 2 days before the war was even declared. Yet when we first meet Jack Harkness in 1941, he is standing by a fully open window in a very well lit building.
Sorry, old man.
Even Big Ben seems to be illuminated in some shots, as Jack and Rose stand atop Jack's ship.
Tethered up to Big Ben for some reason.
Number 4. Mayan Messup, 4 to Doomsday. Trying and failing to return Tegan to Heathrow Airport, the Doctor arrives on the spaceship of the Urbanka. Though the location is wrong, the time is right, and the story is firmly established as being set in 1981.
February the 28th, 1981. Oh, you'll have time for a cup of tea. It's only 16:15 hours.
In a later conversation, the Doctor states with confidence that the Mayans flourished 8,000 years ago.
The Mayans in South America flourished 8,000 years ago.
In reality, the Mayans existed from approximately 2000 BC to 1697 AD, meaning they didn't even exist 8,000 years before 1981, let alone flourished. Evidently, what the Doctor calls a pretty good knowledge of ancient history is not very good at all.
I'm the Doctor.
A doctor? Of what?
Of everything.
How modest.
Number 3. Mavitational Anomaly, Wild Blue Yonder. In the opening moments of the second 60th anniversary special, we witness Isaac Newton's famous apple on the head moment. Through a misheard joke, the Doctor and Donna accidentally cause Newton to name his discovery Mavity instead of gravity.
Mavity.
There are 2 issues at play here. Firstly, the apple story is not entirely true. Newton did claim that he was inspired by seeing an apple fall, but it certainly didn't fall on his head. Secondly, he didn't invent the word gravity, though he is the one to shift its meaning to apply to the attractive force, so he was certainly aware of it as a word.
We've got air, we've got light, we've got mavity.
We can't pretend we aren't enjoying the ongoing Mavity joke, though.
Caught in the gravity field.
Caught in the what?
Mavity field.
Number 2. An insult to the true story, Rosa. This episode shows a deeply diluted version of Rosa Parks' decision not to give up her seat on a bus for a white passenger. In the climactic moments, the Doctor and friends are forced to remain on the bus to ensure that Rosa is asked to move, and therefore able to make her famous refusal.
Don't get off, Graham. If we get off, there's enough empty seats for white passengers.
The implication here is that Rosa Parks made her decision on a whim, and that if she hadn't been asked to move on this one bus, the civil rights movement would have failed.
Stand up now.
I don't think I should have to.
In reality, Rosa was a trained activist, and a lot of planning went into the Montgomery bus boycott by the black community. Instead of showcasing this, we're left with a missed opportunity.
But she changed the world. In fact, she changed the universe.
Number 1. How many sides? The Shakespeare Code. Most historical inaccuracies in Doctor Who don't affect the plot too much, but in Series 3, there is one which the entire plot hinges on.
No, strictly speaking, it's not a globe, it's a tetradecagon, 14 sides.
When the Doctor takes Martha back to 1599, the pair watch a performance at the famous Globe Theatre. However, the Carrier Knights are here to use the power of words to unleash the rest of their species. What better way to do this than to use a theatre which has 14 sides to match the number of planets in the Carrier Knights' home star system? Except it doesn't.
I've always wondered, but I've never asked. Tell me, Will, why 14 sides?
While there is some debate over the exact number of sides that the original Globe Theatre had, it is commonly accepted that it had 20, maybe 18, maybe even 16, but definitely not 14.
Ah! 14! That's it! 14! The 14 stars of the Rexel planetary configuration!
Do you agree with our list? Or are there any other historical inaccuracies you'd add to it? Let us know in the comments below.
Tell me the story, Peter. Tell me about the witches.